going to be talking about. I know everybody heard about the Ryan Gaynor situation, the black teenager, autistic teenager that was shot and killed by the cops holding a gardening tool. You also, of course, everybody knows about the Lake Lanier situation, and I know you all heard about the comment that Trump said about a bloodbath, and that's been debated left and right about exactly what did he mean by that. So we're gonna touch up on those topics tonight. I definitely want to hear from the folks up in here. Shout out to DJ Tony, Monty, Professional, Matthew, Shiva. Shout out to all y'all up in here. Appreciate you guys being up in here. For all my people that come on YouTube, guys, make sure y'all click the notification bell. Make sure you go ahead and like and subscribe to the channel as well too. Once again, click that notification bell because YouTube is not sending out notifications. Go ahead, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment tonight as well too. What's up, Alyssa? And I'm glad to have you guys up in the actual space / broadcast with us tonight. Been a really heavy news cycle going on recently. As always, we know the news and current events, it never slows down. And the situation, we got, like I said, I don't even know which one to touch up on first because, all of it's pretty interesting. But I guess I'll start off with the Ryan Gaynor situation. And our prayers go out to his family. The young man was only 15 years old. Had shout out to you over there, CRU, on YouTube as well. Young man, 15 years old, shot and killed holding a gardening tool. From the Chicago Defender, let me go ahead and touch up on this real quick. Cops shoot and kill Ryan Gaynor, black autistic teen who had a gardening tool in his hands. A California teenager with autism was shot and killed by a sheriff's deputy while he was holding a gardening tool, per CNN. The shooting of 15-year-old Ryan Gardner unfolded on March 9th after deputies in Apple Valley responded to a 911 call from a family member who said the teen was actively assaulting family members and damaging property at the residence, according to a sheriff's department. Attorney DeWitt M. Lacey said Gaynor had gotten upset because he wasn't allowed to listen to music before completing his chores. Gaynor hit his sister with his hand and grabbed a gardening tool from the yard, which he used to break the glass on the front door. After a family member made the initial 911 call, the situation de-escalated and Gaynor apologized. Lacey said another family member then called authorities, telling them the situation was under control, but deputies had already been dispatched to the home, according to the attorney. Authorities said the first deputy arrived at the home and was confronted by Gaynor, who was armed with an approximate 5-foot-long gardening tool with a sharp bladed end. According to authorities, Gaynor later ran toward deputy with the blade of the gardening tool raised. A deputy shot Gaynor after he allegedly tried to assault him. In the body cam footage released by the sheriff's department, family members could be heard yelling, "Why'd you shoot my baby?" and asking why a taser wasn't used. Gaynor was taken to the hospital where he later died. San Bernardino County Sheriff Shannon DeCos said deputies previously responded to the home and indicated that no force was used during prior interactions with Gaynor. According to DeCos, it's unclear whether the responding deputies knew of the prior encounters. Lacey said at least 2 of the responding deputies had familiarity with Gaynor. There's no reason that law enforcement should be the ones that end up having to get involved in these crises, specifically when we've ramped off these individuals to social services that are supposed to designed to take care of their mental health needs, DeCos said. Yeah, very unfortunate. Everybody's wondering why, and they use other ways of actually trying to handle. I don't know if you guys actually saw that video. People want to know why wasn't maybe a taser on hand, and people want to also know, like, okay, you're supposed to be professionally trained, so why did this have to end in deadly force? Other people were saying that, hey, I've heard some of our people on Twitter saying, the family themselves knew the situation with the teenager, and in situations like that, why call the cops when this type of stuff is a possibility as well too. So there's been just all kind of things going on. People were saying that he had a gardening tool, and it wasn't just like because I had posted this a couple of days ago. People were like, well, you just make it seem like he was just holding a toy in his hand and stuff like that as well too. If you look at the actual videotape, the deputy had time to respond, and I don't think lethal force was needed. Like I said, a taser would have got the young man down. They should have had an assistant. They had been to the house before. They de-escalated things before as well too. So I don't know exactly, why not bring somebody familiar over with the family and let them handle it? I know that's not always the case. You can't always get the cops that came out before to handle it, but it should have been some kind of record of the situation going there with the young man, that they know, okay, well, we know that he has some issues with autism and this and that or whatever, so let's go ahead and handle it this type of way. Unfortunately, this young man has lost his life. And like I said, you have a lot of people that's shout out to you, Nightfall. We got a lot of people that's blaming the family members themselves for saying that the family members had no business of calling the actual police as well, too. So it's just a tragic, very, very sad situation. And that's something that I wonder about and I worry about as well, too, with our special need children out here, our Black special need children, the interaction with police officers. We see people every day that don't have any issues, in terms of special needs, anything like that. And we see how situations go sideways all the time. So I really, really have a deep-seated fear of how our kids, our Black kids in particular, those that do have special need, it has to be, we have to get some kind of special training for these kids like that in terms of dealing with police authorities and everything else as well, too, because, it doesn't take much to go ahead and shoot a brother anyways. And the fact that he has autism, and then it comes out later on and, oh, I'm sorry, we didn't mean to, and this and that or whatever. So it's a very, very frightening situation, especially for those of us that do have kids that have special needs or have family members as well, too. Is something that we definitely need to look more into. That's something else that we need to go ahead and start trying to prioritize as well, too. We need to go ahead and start getting to the point that we're able to go ahead and set up things and stuff like that, but we can get training for these kids and everything else, ways of de-escalating this whole situation. We have to get the cops on board with that as well, too. Nightfall says, I saw that video and I'm wondering, how is it as old as that young man was, how his family was ill prepared to de-escalate his behavior? I don't know, Nightfall. I don't know. I don't want to put it completely. Well, actually, from what they're saying, it did de-escalate. It did de-escalate. But by the time when the cops came by, I don't know if the young man saw the cops and he just had one of those moments. But from what they said, a family called that the situation had been de-escalated, and then all of a sudden, when the cop came, he started charging them from what they say and from what the video show as well, too. So, I don't know. He seemed like he was okay for a second, and then all of a sudden, then, bam, that happened. So, like I said, we got to get some kind of special training involved, not only with with our children, trying to teach them as well, too, but it should be required. We talking about all of the new training that police officers need and this and that or whatever, and they're giving them all kind of money. Well, part of that needs to be, how do you handle situations like that with autistic kids, with people with mental challenges and everything else as well, too. That deadly force is not always needed. Deadly force is not always needed. The cops saw him coming. He had time to prepare himself and do something different, but you're quick to draw that gun out. You do have tasers, you have billy clubs, you have all kind of different weapons. You got mace and sprays and everything else like that as well, too. But the first weapon and the only weapon 9 out of 10 that they want to use is an actual handgun. And if you're using that handgun 9 out of 10, it's not going to end well. That person's not going to get up and just walk it off. So that's a situation, like I said, that's something that we really need as a community. We need to really start looking into, because we have a high number of children out here with autism. The Black community has a high number of children out here with autism, and we need to worry about that. And we need to look as well, too, like, hey, how can we protect the ones that really, in terms of being able to communicate effectively to cops and everything else like that, they can't do it like you and I. So we definitely need to go ahead and look into that. Shout out to everybody coming up in here. I see you guys. Shout out to Mel, Original. I see Quadi up in here as well, too. So shout out to all you guys that's starting to pour in, guys. We're touching up on the situation. I just touched up on the situation with about the Ryan Gaynor situation and the young man losing his life. And I know everybody's saying with the family members, too, and stuff. My heart goes out to the family members. My heart goes out. I know, and we know that, you shouldn't call the cops unless you absolutely have to. I don't know. We don't know exactly what they live with, the situation they go through and this and that or whatever, in terms of the young man's behavior. I don't know what part of the spectrum he's on as well, too. But, my heart really goes out to him. And like I said, we need to get some kind of special training as a community, and we need to make it make it make it a priority that police officers also take part in this training as well too, and it needs to be somewhere before when that call is made that, certain things and the family needs to say it themselves too. If it's not on record by the police officers, but it should have been because they've been to the house before, but it needs to be known that, hey, this child or this teenager, this young man, this young lady has special needs, and we need to go ahead and handle this situation different than you handle it with the average Joe Blow. All right, let me go ahead and touch up on this Trump thing. Now, this is from factcheck.org, and factcheck.org they go back and try to de-escalate and try to pinpoint the actual truth. So let me go ahead and touch up on this. Let me read a comment real quick from Nightfall. He says, "But that brings into question that news. So that the situation was under control. Why didn't one of the family members intercept the cops when they got there?" Nightfall, I'm gonna be real with you. I don't know. You're right. If the situation was under control and you should have a family member looking outside that window to see when that cop car came. That family member, somebody should have went outside and said, you know what, let me get out here and let me talk to the cop or whatever. Because what we can see on the video, the door is open and the young man, he's coming towards the police officer with the actual gardening tool. So I don't know why you wouldn't have had a family member out there, especially after the situation, it de-escalated. You got him calmed down, go down there and talk to that cop. I just sat outside and waited for the cop to come. The cop would never even made it into the house. And, we would have went ahead and, like you say, try to de-escalate it the best way we could have. But you make a very, very valid point on that one. All of the articles are not up in the Jumbotron. All the articles, with the exception of the one about Lake Lanier, comes off of the Newstoter.com platform, even the one from factcheck.org. While it says Trump's bloodbath comment, while speaking about the potential loss of U.S. auto manufacturing jobs to foreign countries, former President Donald Trump said if he isn't elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the country. President Joe Biden's campaign quickly accused Trump of political violence. The Trump campaign said Trump was clearly using the term in the context of an economic bloodbath. If you actually watch and listen to the section, he was talking about the auto industry and tariffs. Steve Chung, a spokesman for Trump's campaign, told the Washington Post, adding that Biden's policies will create economic bloodbath for the auto industry and auto workers. Hell, they did an economic bloodbath on the auto industries when they started screwing around in Detroit and all those areas up there as well too. When you had a bunch of black people that was becoming middle class, they found a way to screw that over and start outsourcing all of these jobs overseas. The explanation seems most plausible given the context of Trump's comments. Speaking at a rally on the grounds of the Dayton International Airport in Ohio, Trump said that over the last 3 decades, Mexico has siphoned off U.S. auto manufacturing jobs and has accused China of building car manufacturing plants in Mexico that will cost U.S. auto workers their jobs. China is now building a couple of massive plants that are going to build cars in Mexico, and they think that they're going to sell those cars into the United States with no tax at the border. Let me tell you something, to China, if you're listening, President, and you and I are friends, but he understands the way I deal. Those big monster car manufacturing plants that you're building in Mexico right now, and you think they're going to get that, you're not going to hire Americans and you're not going to sell the cars to us. No, we're going to put a 100% tariff on every single car that comes across the line, and you're not going to be able to sell those cars if I get elected. Now, if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole. That's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country. That will be the least of it. But they're not going to sell those cars. The Chinese electric vehicle company BYD says it's planning to build an EV plant in Mexico, but the company says it intends to sell the cars locally to consumers in Mexico and has no plans to sell any across the border in the U.S. On Truth Social on March 18, Trump wrote that his words were being purposely misconstrued. The fake news media and the Democrat partners in the destruction of our nation pretend to be shocked at the use of my word bloodbath, even though they fully understand that I was simply referring to imports allowed by crooked Joe Biden, which are killing the automobile industry. Trump wrote, promising that if elected, U.S. auto manufacturing will thrive like never before. On the side, when Trump was president, auto manufacturing jobs rose about 5.8% to a little over 1 million in his first 2 years, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, but dipped his third year and then again sharply during the pandemic. There were 949,300 auto manufacturing jobs in the U.S. when Trump left office. Under Biden, the number of auto manufacturing jobs has increased about 12.2% to over a million in February, the most recent data available. The Trump campaign also noted rightly that one of the definitions of bloodbath, according to the Webster Dictionary, is a major economic disaster. We did a Nexus search of TV news transcripts and found numerous instances of bloodbath being used in that way. Another definition provided by Webster is a notable, fierce, violent, and destructive contest or struggle, which is how Biden, his campaign, and others viewed the former president's bloodbath comment. In a post on X, Biden posted a clip of Trump saying, "Now, if I don't get elected, it's going to be a bloodbath for the whole. That's going to be the least of it. It's going to be a bloodbath for the country. That'll be the least of it." Biden commented, "It's clear that this guy wants another January 6th. At the start of his speech in Ohio, Trump saluted all the sound system played recording of the so-called January 6th prison choir singing a song, Justice for All. The song is a mashup of the choir featuring people incarcerated for their role in the attack on the Capitol, singing the Star-Spangled Banner as Trump recites the Pledge of Allegiance. After the song finished, Trump praised the spirit of the hostages, a word that he has repeatedly used to describe those convicted of various crimes for their roles in the January 6th riot. They've been treated terribly and very unfairly, and you know that everybody knows that Trump saying Biden that once elected, he will work on their behalf to free them. And we're going to be working on that as soon as the first day we get into office. Trump said we're going to save our country. We're going to work with the people to treat those unbelievable patriots. And they were unbelievable patriots and are. And you see the spirit. This is cheering. They're cheering while they're doing that. And they did that in prison. And it's a disgrace, in my opinion. Asked on NBC's Meet the Press on March 17th about Trump's bloodbath comments, Republican Senator Bill Cassidy says Trump's rhetoric often walks up to the edge, allowing people on both sides of the political aisle to interpret his meaning. The kind of rhetoric is always on the edge, maybe doesn't cross, maybe does, depending upon your perspective, Cassidy said. I also think that mainstream media contributes to it. If you take the one about the bloodbath, which arguably could be about an economic bloodbath and not about any kind of street violence related to the election, then it gives his defenders something to focus on, something which was distorted. So yes, he always walks up to the edge of that rhetoric. And again, that's why people are concerned. But sometimes the mainstream media, whether they want to or not, can't resist, and they go just a little bit too far, which distracts from what could really make an impact. Cassie, know the definition of bloodbath includes an economic disaster. And so if he's speaking about the auto industry in particular in Ohio, then you can take it with a little bit more context, Cassidy said. That's why I say you walk up to the line, depending upon the perspective. Something is going to interpret it. He's running against Biden, so Biden's going to say it's about political violence. His defenders want to defend him, so they're going to say it's about economic disaster. There's always just a little bit of tension there, which allows the dispute about the interpretation as opposed to the kind of general sort of, is this a person we want to have in office? All right, so shout out. I see my man Original. Shout out to Shannon. I see him up in here. DJ, are you up in the space?
Yes, sir. My check 1 2 1 2. Shout out to the room. Share the room out, y'all. Newstoter.
Hey, before I touch up on the article about Lake Lanier, let me just, from your perspective, and let me give a shout out to EHZ and let me give a shout out to YouTube, but for Cash App. But what's your opinion about the situation with the young man Ryan Gaynor in terms of the actual, like Nightfall, he's saying on YouTube that he wishes the family pretty much would have try to de-escalate it a certain way or whatever. But what's your opinion about the family and the actual cop interaction with the actual young man as well?
Right, for sure. I actually have some personal experience about this, so I could speak on it. But first, y'all share the room out. Make sure y'all follow Newstoter on YouTube. And make sure y'all follow Newstoter on his .com and follow Newstoter on his social. So my ex, right, her son was always involved in crisis. So it was times she had to call the crisis center to come get him. He acting out of character, don't want to listen, and this is wasn't so much of him being autistic as much. It was just more or less the behavioral, I guess, issues at this point, because he's grown up now, you know what I mean? and he's pretty much past that for the most part. So I think it's just really more or less staying up on him, making sure there's always, someone in the house that they can talk to or whatever the case be to try to calm that child down. Other thing is too, there's been times that, me and my stepson almost got into a fisticuff because he disrespected his mother, you know what I'm saying? So you can't do that. And then he's like, they don't really seem to have an understanding, like, that you're disrespecting somebody, you know what I mean? That those that would maybe have some type of autism or, mental health type issue. It's just like it's not all the way there. It's like their brain is just really undeveloped in a way where it's just like not clicking, you know what I mean? And you gotta constantly have to have like, what's the word? Somebody help me out with the health professional words. Like, gotta have like a counselor and a mental health professional, the crisis team on deck, so you could call them. But unfortunately, I guess obviously it's where they live at, because every state is different, and this is why you gotta advocate for like mental health issues, to make sure that you got trained advocates, you know what I'm saying, on deck, or at least working side to side with police. Come to a person's residence. Hey, my family member is having a mental health crisis. They may be autistic. They might have been in the military, suffering PTSD. It could be any of this stuff. But to draw your weapon and just, completely delete this person off the planet, and all they had in their hand was a shovel. You as an officer, you went through police academy. You had to train, do all types of martial arts to defend yourself. You know these moves. You know what I'm saying? How to disarm someone even with another pistol. Why didn't you just do that? And all he had was a shovel. And it was even hard to see what the garden tool was, but it looks like a shovel from the photo. It could have been a garden hoe, you know what I mean, or some type of other rake, you know what I mean. Which it can't excuse my French, it can't mess you up, you know what I mean, if you get hit with that, you know what I'm saying. So I understand that nobody want to go home with an injury, but like, damn, it seems like these cops nowadays. This is why we say they're not here to protect you. They're not here to, defend you against anything. Really, they don't have to protect you, but they can damn sure take your life in a heartbeat, in a split second. Like, that's all it took for you to draw your weapon because you see someone coming at you that ain't even got a pistol. First of all, let's lay the groundwork for that. That young man didn't have a pistol. You see what I'm saying? So, and like you said, I also want to reiterate what you said, that it make it easier for these non-black cops to kill a black person because it's this dark skin, this melanated skin, this brown skin, whatever you want to call it, this carbon. You know what I'm saying? It's like a target, yo. We are a target, yo. You know what I mean? When these folks come to our residence, our places, I got your original blood coming up. Shout out to original. We're a target, man. We've always been a target for 500 years. It doesn't matter if it's the runaway slave patrol or it's the police of the day. They don't have your best interests at heart. And this is not to label every single officer out there, because I know some officers personally, they are for the community and they are here to help you. But, even with that being said, why don't you ever hear them speaking out against these bad cops? Kind of like the one that killed this brother, Ryan Gaynor. You know what I'm saying? This ain't even right, fam. Let's go back to, I can't even think of this young sister's name, rest in peace, that lost her life and was being accused of stealing. And when she told the officer, well, I didn't steal anything, that was them other girls. And she, why is the cop in front of her car while she's actually in the process of already got the car and driving, she's leaving anyway. You know what I'm saying? So you gunned her down in 2 seconds, but you don't do that to these white women that do the same thing. So there's two Americas. We already know that. Now you're the original one to talk.
All right. What's going on, original? How you doing tonight?
We doing all right over here. I was just listening to what you and DJ was saying, but my issue is this. These officers know what they're doing. We are dealing with people who do not have a soul. And their primary objective is to kill as many of us as they can. Now, I have seen even here in another county, a county west of me in Douglas County, there was a white boy. He was, if I'm not mistaken, he had one of those a sword, a long one too, and I think he had killed his grandmother, and then and the cop rolled up. They didn't shoot him, they didn't tase him. They took him into custody. And then you look at, I know you all probably heard of this one, whereby in DeKalb County, which is east of me, there was a black, I think he was an Air Force veteran, but he was having some mental issues, and he was walking around his apartment complex naked. And the cop that showed up shot him and killed him, claimed that, oh, well, he lunged at me. It's always an excuse that they use. But when they come in contact with white people, they don't kill them. It would take a lot for them to kill them. Because I've seen, there was some years ago, it was this white couple. They was kind of young, but they was driving around the country, robbing banks, and they was calling themselves Bonnie and Clyde. And when they had a shootout with the police, I think it was the female, she was shot in the leg, so she wasn't killed. And so I think they have this, again, we're dealing with people without a soul. And I think more of us need to inform our families, friends, and associates that whatever happened, try to do your best to not call the police. If there are adult males that can somewhat handle the situation, call them.
And I think, original, not to cut you off, and I think that's what I like to know. What was the actual makeup of the household as well? But I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, because even if you have to call, even if there's a neighbor or another relative that you can call, I think you should be able to call them versus calling the police, because all of us should know now, if we're calling the police, even if someone has broken into our house, if we're calling the police, more than likely they will kill us and not kill the burglar. That's just how they operate. I mean, again, and we have to come to the understanding that we are dealing with a group of people who do not have a soul, and that's why they can justify just killing us, and then they sit up there looking all stupid and stuff, because they say, oh, well, I just, he lunged. I mean, when you say a naked man lunged at you and you shot him, I mean, really? I mean, that's just what these people are. That's why I don't have many as friends, because they will eventually let you know that, oh, well, I'm better than you. I'm like, please tell yourself that lie again. But I think we have to start having communication, because it's like, I don't know if any of the churches are discussing this issue where they are telling people to, if you can, or even the church, even some of the churches have people within the church, especially men, that could be dispatched out instead of calling the police, depending on, I mean, they can do things now. They can create a spreadsheet or something with zip codes and see how, what proximity certain, one another. And when stuff happen like this, instead of calling the police, call somebody who can help you de-escalate and keep your family member alive. And I'll end with that.
That's real talk, original. Like I said, I would like to know the actual family dynamic as well, too. Like you say, if it's a house full of women and then you have a 15-year-old young man, let's be for real, he's a young man, it may be hard for them to actually handle that. So you're right that, having an actual family member or a neighbor, or like you say, somebody in the church that can come over there and potentially de-escalate it. My thing is this right here too, is that the cops should have had some kind of paper trail or record or whatever. They get a call like, okay, well, we've been to this house. In the last 2 years, we've been to this house 3 times, and we've had to deal with this child that's autistic that sometimes goes into a fit. So they should already.
They had a paper trail because they've been in the house numerous times.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So that's what I'm saying. So they should be going over there with that in mind. Like instead, I mean, you go over there and like I say, the first thing with all of the weapons, the mace and the pepper spray and the billy club and the taser, the first thing you grab is your handgun. Okay. So, I mean, you telling me that you went to police academy for that there's no other way that you can de-escalate it. So I just have a hard time, when they got that call, okay, they was told exactly about the situation going on or whatever. And the thing that just really, really bothers everybody as well, too, is that from what the family member said, the situation had de-escalated. It de-escalated, and then all of a sudden, the young man, came at the cop, and then now he's shot, he's killed. So that's a situation that really, really, just kind of bothers me to a certain degree. Go ahead, DJ.
Yeah, definitely understand that 100%. Like I said, I could definitely speak to the situation. So my neighbor, right, upstairs on the second floor, I found out one day that one of her eldest sons, so her only eldest son, rather, I guess, he suffered from some type of, I don't want to call it autistic or autism or even like a mental health thing. I think what it was, he was drugged at a young age. You know what I'm saying? Because if you're a parent, which I am not, but I've been through these situations as a kid, and I've also seen other parents have to go through these situations with their kid where you're being misdiagnosed at these hospitals. This is a problem, family, why we need our own Black hospitals. So obviously you're a child and kids act out. We acted out as we was kids, didn't want to listen, to get your tail whooped, you know how this go. You know what I mean? So one day, he was acting out, and they wound up calling the cops on him. But he's mentally sound, though. You see what I'm saying? He's, he goes to work every day. He got a kid of his own. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, what's going on with this young man? Why he acting out of character? And like you say, hey, he living with a bunch of women. And once I caught on to that, I said, hold on, let me question them now to see what's really going on. Why this grown man is beating on his mother and fighting his sister. You know what I'm saying? So I got to talking to the sister one day, and she was like, when he was young, the parents wound up listening to the advice of the doctor, wound up pumping him with Ritalin, when he was maybe like 6 or 7 years old. You know what I mean? When you didn't really even get a clear mental diagnosis or a second opinion at best to see if it was something really wrong with him, artistically, mentally, whatever it be. So you pumping a 6, 7, 8-year-old with Ritalin, a drug that was fairly new back then. You know what I'm saying? Ritalin ain't that old. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to the mental health community. So you're pumping him with Ritalin. He's just a child. His brain is not developed. His brain not developed. So you drugging them all through 8, 9, 10, all the way up 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. From what I think I recall, they took him off the medicine cold turkey, family. Cold turkey. If you ever smoke cigarettes, you know how it is. That's a drug at this point. It's hard to quit. Cold turkey. Even soda. If you're drinking these dark sodas, Pepsi, Coca-Cola, you try to wind yourself over, start drinking more water, you start getting the jitters. You know what I'm saying? Like, damn, I need a soda like a bean. You know what I'm saying? So, and if you took him off cold turkey, that means he still has the drugs flowing through his bloodstream. The Ritalin is in it. You see what I'm saying? So it's easy for him to act out. Even at his age now, I think he'd be like 25, 26, something like that. It's still easy for him to act out because he's never been properly diagnosed, didn't wind him off the drugs properly as far as detox him. And obviously third would be, education, further assistance as far as like, any type of rehabilitation you might need. Those things are readily available here in New Jersey. Black or white, anybody can get that type of help. You know what I'm saying? So it ain't a race thing. You You know what I'm saying? I think it's really a lot of these parents. It's two things. One, a lot of them don't care. You just get that out the way, because that's just the way I see it. You know what I'm saying? I don't think the folks upstairs care about they kinfolk like that. I'm just being straight, because I see sometimes the antagonistic ways they nitpick with him to like kind of start a fight. And this is two black women I'm talking about. This is a black family. You know what I'm saying? And I had to check the sister one day. I saw what you did. You know what I mean? Y'all already having an argument, so it ain't no need to further push his buttons and keep antagonizing him to the point he's going to harm you. And I'm not going to stop him. And you ain't going to have no choice but to call the cops, to have them come gun him down. You know what I'm saying? That's what's going to happen. So even though I've tried to talk to him, other men in the neighborhood, you know, my landlord, who's like an OG to the neighborhood, has tried to talk to him. And it's not that he don't want to listen. It's the fact that the matter is you have to live under these women that don't have your best interests at heart. And it ain't even got to be a woman. I've seen this happen to men coming from other men too as well. So it's not to point the finger at any one gender. This is obviously a prevalent problem within our community, where it's like the first instance is, well, I'm going to call somebody to jack you up. Well, I'm going to call the cops on you. Well, I'm going to do this to you. Knowing damn well I'm already down. So you're going to kick me down even further? That's black people, unfortunately. You know what I mean? So the Atlantis story, that same day, he's going back and forth with his family. You know, the mother kicked him out of the house for the most part. And he ain't got nowhere to go, because, you ain't never taught him, hey, look, one day I'm not going to be here, son. You're going to have to get your own thing. You got to get a job. You're going to have to start paying bills. You got to learn how to write a check. You got to learn how to cook. All that training that we had when we were growing up from our grandparents and so forth, that stuff is out of the window. We got to find a way to bring that type of caring back to the nuclear family. Same thing with a lot of folks of us out here. You see a lot of these young men out in the street. They ain't got no father at home, no guidance. Mother usually don't care. Other family members don't care about them. This is more prevalent than we really think about it. And not to say that this is Ryan Gainer's family, because I seen a picture of him with his family, the father there, everybody there. But even the father may not have the right information to say, hey, look, this is how we're going to handle this. And obviously with anything, you get frustrated or trying to deal with the same thing day in and day out, and ain't nothing changing or turning, or it ain't working, and you just don't know where to turn to. So sometimes, and I hate to say this, but this is factual, it's a blessing that he not here anymore. Because now it's like a weight lifted off their shoulder. They don't got to deal with that anymore. It's sad. That's their family member. That that's your son. He came from your loin, your womb. That's sad to even say that, but it's factual at the same time. Because it's like now you don't have to think about it in that way. Go ahead, argue.
All right. I'm sure though. I mean, I'm sure they would definitely prefer him to still be here. And you're right. The situation of having to deal with somebody with certain issues like that, I'm sure it takes a lot out of you. So I'm sure it's drained that family as well too. Not knowing maybe if he may fly off of the deep end, or what do you have to do to try to calm him down. But like I said, it's just all together just a very unfortunate situation. Original, go ahead and unmute your mic. And we're gonna also talk about the late Lanier and Original. I know you down there too, so I want to get your opinion about that as well too. But go ahead, Original.
Yeah, I'm listening to this, yeah, because I know quite a number of these women, they can't handle these children, even if they're not, if they don't have mental issues, they can't handle some of these children, especially boys after they get a certain age. And so they should try and have someone there. And one other thing, I know this may sound cruel, but if there is a black family, and that they have a child that's, that's acting out in that way, they should consider. I know this may sound cruel, but you have to think about it. If you want that person to live, and then yes, there's a possibility that it could escalate the situation even more. but they may want to consider getting some kind of a taser that will deploy out, with the strings or whatever, or have some mace. So hopefully they would calm down and things can get back to normal and say, listen, you can't go around acting like this, because when you do this, you're putting all of us in jeopardy. Because who knows, a cop could show up and not only kill the person, but kill another family member as well. But like I said, these people don't have no soul. And like when DJ talked about they were pumping this child with Ritalin. You all remember when Cat Williams said they had convinced him to put one of his sons on Ritalin or something like that. And he said prior to that, the child was just, rambunctious and this, that, and whatever. Because that's what black children do. We're always active and stuff. We got to keep. But I have a cousin. He could not, coming up, he could not sit still. He wasn't, autistic or anything, but he just could not sit still for a long time. And, Cat Williams said that he noticed a child sitting there, just in a daze, like he was just watching TV. He said, he said to the child, hey, what you doing? Chilling. He said, well, what you thinking about? Running. He said the child would just run. The child would just run, all the time. He was always running around, just being active. And I think he said he took him off that stuff. And so this, like DJ said, they are convincing you to drug your child. And like I said, there needs to be, we need to have more people in the community who can go to the school system, and all they have to know is all you got to just say, I'm a family member. That's it. You don't have to say anything else. When they want to put these children on these drugs, they get the parents in there, whether they be male or female, and they convince them that it's in the child's best interest. But they'll come out with a psychiatrist, a counselor, and this, that, and whatever, telling the family members that this child needs to be on this stuff. And if you start asking certain questions, they will, jump back and they won't say anything. But I think that has to be, considered. And I'll land with that. Let me say this. We got a few people in here. Who else going to come up and speak tonight?
I see Quadir. He came up here. And let me say this real quick too, because a few years ago they tried to get me to get my kid on put him on medication and stuff to help him focus and stuff. And this was black teachers actually saying this as well. And I was like, absolutely not. I'm not going to be putting my son. Nobody knows the actual 15, 20 years from now, the actual impact of those drugs on their organs and brains and everything else like that as well. I don't think so. I'm like, we'll just have to, manage the way we manage, but I'm not going to be having my child up here, son up here in a damn daze, all lackadaisical and just lethargic and who knows exactly what it's doing to his heart or his kidneys or anything else like that as well too. I was like, no. They're like, well, I'm like, no, I understand what you're saying, but no, we're not putting my boy on any of this stuff right here. I have no idea, and you don't either, what the impact. He could be 35, 40 years from now, 35 years old and totally impotent from this stuff that he was taking as a damn child. So no, we'll pass on that, and we'll just have to work with him in different ways as well to try to, to keep his attention span up and stuff like that. But no, we're not doing that. We're not going because let's be for real, those drugs are narcotic drugs. They're heavy narcotics. You can sit up here and you can name them whatever you want to name them and stuff like that. But those drugs are heavy narcotics, and I'm not sure unless you have absolutely no choice and your child is just a danger to himself and society at large. Maybe you can see something like that, but for the most part, I don't think those drugs really do kids that good, do them well. So I would just advise any parent to look for any alternative, and maybe you may have to try to get the child in therapy. Maybe you may have to try to go ahead and see if you can get the child in some kind of therapy or some kind of activities or something to try to, especially if the child's aggressive, see if you can go ahead and take some of that aggressiveness away by activities and exercise and different things as well too. So no, I definitely wouldn't recommend that. So we got Quadia up and Cali Love. So let me go ahead and kick it to Quadia, and then we'll get to you, Cali.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? How's everybody doing tonight? How y'all doing tonight?
Hey, what's up, Quadia?
What up, my boy? What up? What up? Yeah, I want to dive into this situation with this young man who unfortunately lost his life due to the race soldiers that took his life. Right? This whole autism situation in and of itself is this confuses to me, and it raises a question to me. I know they say that black boys, black men, or black people in general are more susceptible to being diagnosed or coming down with autism. I don't think it's natural. I don't think it's natural at all. I don't know when it started becoming a thing. I just remember one time out the blue in like the mid 2010s, like 2013, 2014, where I'm seeing autism everything out of nowhere. I'm seeing it at cash registers. A picture of a black boy. I say donate, help him. He has autism. They only use us when they want to. They only use us for pictures like that. When it comes to showing us in the downtrodden life, right? So it's kind of weird to me that we're the ones who are being affected the most with it. So I don't think it's natural at all. I don't. I also think that they know what the root cause is, but they're just not telling us. I've even seen. I was also doing some research where I saw some people were debating that autism. I'm pretty sure everybody knows the people suspect that autism is coming from vaccines, but there's also been people arguing that autism is actually inflammation in the brain, which is why kids, will act up because they're basically hurting to an extent. So it was very interesting to see, and I just want to know if anybody has any info on that. And lastly, I agree with GJ. We do need, and Newstoter, we do need community training as they handle these situations. Like, let's put some funds to the side from like City Hall to have a few individuals get trained up on how to disarm, take down, de-escalate these type of situations. I think that would be a great idea. And I yield the mic.
Thank you, Quad. And I think that we're going to have to go look that route. I think we're going to have to start having community-based things, because as these kids with autism get older and become men and stuff like that, you have to really, 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 kind of be cautious out here, be on your guard as well too. So I think we really need. I think it has to be community-based. I think it has to be the police need training on it, the schools need training on it, parents need training on it, people in the community. We have to have some resources set aside to go ahead and help out as much as possible. So it should be mandatory with police and with the school as well too, and parents, as well too. You have a child with autism, it's not easy. So we need all the help and all the training as much as possible, because if you have a child with any kind of special needs, it is not an easy task to deal with. Let me go ahead and kick it to Cali Love. Anybody else wants to speak? And like I said, after Cali, we're going to touch up on the Lake Lanier thing as well too. I want to get people's opinion on that situation as well. Cali, how you doing tonight?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. Thank you, and good evening, everybody. I did want to kind of chime in. The autism thing is not new. The white parents sound the alarm probably about 20 years ago. And they were the ones who were saying it could be caused by the inoculations. Because as a 70s child, when we were first born, we didn't get inoculations come when we were born straight out the hospital. While our mom birthed us those 3 days, we didn't get inoculations. But the new kids, I guess the 90s children, while you in the hospital, the 3 days or the 2 days or the 1 day, your kid is getting 3 or 4 shots before they even leave the hospital. So you had white parents who were sounding that alarm saying, we anti-inoculations because these inoculations must be causing the autism. And then Holly Robinson Peete became like one of the spokespersons for autism because she have a child who suffers from autism. And her husband, I guess, were, struggling and battling back and forth because they didn't know how to deal with it. And none of their other children had autism. So a lot of parents started becoming anti-inoculations. So that's when school boards and school systems started saying, well, your kid can't come to school if they hadn't gotten their shots. But then you have parents say, no, we don't want to get our kids shots. We want to get these waivers. We Muslim or Jehovah's Witnesses, and they started claiming a lot of, religious affiliations in order to get waivers from these school-age shots. So somehow, I don't know how the schools get the authority, and because technically schools don't have the authority to tell a parent that their child, they don't have the authority to diagnose a child, period. They're not medical providers. They're not licensed or trained psychiatrists. So just because they tell you as a parent, well, you should be putting your kid on the IEP because your kid may be talking too much in class, or they don't want to sit down, or I can't control your child, or whatever. That doesn't give them the medical authority to say anything about your kid that is technically diagnosed with a medical condition, because autism is a medical condition. But the medical community says that from birth up until I think maybe about 9 years old, that a child can come down with autism. So parents were still confused, like, so late, so old. Nevertheless, in the 80s, they were issuing out Ritalin prescriptions for students who they said had ADHD or ADD. So Ritalin too is not old, is not new, but the school doesn't have the authority to tell a parent that they should be doing that. Now they may be able to say, oh well, we'll put your kid on the IEP, but your kid have to go through a testing. So a parent still has to give the permission for the school to do a psychobattery test in order to identify a child as an IEP student, either an intellectual disability or behavioral disability. It'll be either or. Now, either one of them doesn't necessarily require any medication. Now, as a former educator working for DeKalb County school systems in DeKalb, Georgia, and I work with special needs kids, I cannot tell you the number of kids, the number of Black children in particular, that they had on medication. And they would tell, if I worked with special needs children that day or that week, and they would tell me the kids who needed the medication, and I say, I'm not administering no medication to any child. Because once you give that child a medication, they can't do anything. They just sit there and they're stuck. They just sit there like zombies. I didn't witness children once that medication was administered. And then mind you, I'm not a nurse. So why is you giving teachers permission to administer medication? And when you have a regular ed student that comes into the classroom, and if a regular female student, regular ed female student say, I got cramps, we can't even give them Tylenol. But you want us to give these heavy medications to students who you say need this medication. Now, mind you, we did have wheelchair students. You know, we had students who didn't have any movements in their limbs. You know, I did have to, you know, change diapers for middle school and high school students because they didn't have, you know, their physical mobility. They couldn't even go to the restroom. Some of them couldn't even feed themselves. But I had to witness children who they foaming at the mouth because of the medication. And then you had some teachers, because they didn't want to deal with a child that day, that, oh, it's the medication time, let me give them their medication. I don't even have medication in my cabinet. I don't have Tylenol, Advil, or none of that shit in my cabinet. So I'm not going to give somebody else's child some medication, and I'm not even licensed to even give it to them. So we have to be careful when a school want to identify our children. They don't have the medical licensing to identify our children in that manner. The real medical community, you'd have to take your kid to a hospital or a doctor, the pediatrician, and let the pediatrician diagnose them with, say, autism, or what is it, Austenberg or something like that. It's similar to autism. And then they'll let you know how to handle that child and what type of medication that kid may need and how often that kid may need that medication. But because schools no longer have nurses on the campus, and when they do have a nurse on the campus, the nurse may only be there maybe part-time or even a couple of days out of the week. And then we have to be careful with that person too. So sometimes most of the times they're giving out that medication or having a child being diagnosed when they might not even need medication. Now, I've had one kid, she probably was a second grader, and that child used to always run up out the class. Now, they did tell me that she had ADD. And so I had to call her mom and let her mom know, look, your kid can't keep running out the class. She's running out the classroom. And if she run out that front door, then who is responsible? Not just me, but also the school staff and the principal. So she goes on to tell me, her kid has ADD and all this. And sometimes she has her, she can't control her, whatever. So I'm one of these kind of folks. She says she don't want to put her on medication. I said, well, can't you make the child some little cannabis brownies? Some cookies or something, so that just calm her down. She ain't got to get a whole high. Just calm her down a bit. But you know how that goes. But nevertheless, the school does not have the medical authority to diagnose any of our children at all. But they do that to parents who they don't know better, and who knows not to go and ask questions. They just accept it. So in the 80s, you know how many of our children that they diagnosed with ADD and then say, oh, well, now go make sure your kid get rid of it. That drug, that's a heavy drug. That makes a child damn near incapacitated when they're in the classroom, non-functional. And I say, well, that's the whole reason why they're giving it to you, especially young black boys, so that they can sit in class, be non-functional, and especially in the state of California. Now, they love issuing out prescriptions. They don't care how old you are. Oh, you got this problem? Oh, let me give you a prescription. Be this drug. Let me give you that. Take this pill. Take this. We have to be careful. So even when the pandemic kicked in, because they already knew that a lot of parents were using those waivers for those inoculations. So that's why they say, well, your waiver in the state of California, they say those waivers are no longer valid. because every kid that come back into our schools need to get those COVID vaccine shots, or they go to school remotely. So a lot of parents elected to go to school remotely, and so a lot of those parents didn't have their kids, and their kids still have not entered back into the classroom because they said we are anti-inoculations, giving our kids too many shots, way too many shots. A shot for this, shot for that, shot for this, shot for that. In addition to the MMRs, the TBs, and some of those other childhood vaccinations. All kind of shots now. We got to get our kids these different type of inoculations. It's like, you're giving us too many shots. For what? To shoot us up was something? So that our kids, like one young man said, little black boys is too aggressive. Because they want to move around? Because the teaching methods that you have, that you've been using for the past 50, 60 some years, don't work? Because you don't want to shift a paradigm and learn how to really teach children, especially young black males? So they rather just provide them with nothing but medication. So I say this, and I'm going to end. You got to be careful with your children, because the schools are there to facilitate learning. They're not medical doctors. They're not medical doctors. And even their nurses only have a limited amount of capabilities that they can do on campus with our children. So they don't have the right to be telling us as parents that we should be going to get our kids any medical. Let your medical doctors make that call, not the schools. And I'm a land. Thank you.
Thank you. Touch up real quick, and Quadi, I got you coming up next. Touch up real quick on this article from Bloodbath. It was saying that it's talking about Lake Lanier. Says the anticipation surrounding the forthcoming launch of Water Park Georgia's Lake Lanier this summer has triggered mixed reactions on social media, with users reflecting on eerie tales associated with the lake's past. WSB-TV reported that officials held a ceremony Wednesday at the water park to break ground on the new ride, which will be the state's first water slide coaster. Main feature at Fins Up Water Park, slated to open May 4th at Margaritaville at Lake Lanier Islands. The monumental investment marks the most significant expansion of Margaritaville at Lanier Islands in decades, adding Georgia's largest water slide complex to the water park, boasting an impressive 15 slides in total 2024, according to park officials. The attraction will also feature the nation's largest Blasarango drop, propelling riders uphill and downhill at an average speed of 30 miles per hour. News of the new park at Lake Lanier spread across X, formerly known as Twitter, prompting users to question whether it serves the best interests of Georgia residents due to its controversial history, Atlanta Black Star reported. Everyone knows Lake Lanier is haunted, cursed, hex. Why the F would you open up a water coaster, one user said. According to the report from the Georgia Department of Natural Resources, over 210 individuals have lost their lives at Lake Lanier due to various incidents, including injuries, boating accidents, and drownings. As Blavity reported, Usher's ex-wife, Tamika Foster, started a petition back in July 2023 to drain the Georgia lake where her son, Kyle Glover, had died. Today, we honor his memory by rallying together for change. Let's ensure a safer future by demanding improved safety measures, better zoning, and the removal of haunted debris from the lake. Join me in signing this petition and sharing this vital cause. Together, we can create a fresh start and bring lasting transformation, she said in an Instagram post. Now, from my understanding, this actual lake too as well is in the place of an old city, old town called a black community called Oscarville that was formed at the Reconstruction in the 1800s. It says it was formed. It was supposed to be a pretty thriving community. It says 1912 town was destroyed after an 18-year-old white woman was found dead in the woods. 3 black men were accused of rape and murder and were lynched. By the end of the year, the residents were violently driven out of the actual town. So you hear a lot of things going on. A lot of black people are not too keen on this whole water park thing, and the history behind this actual township is not one that people really want to talk too much about as well too. So it was kind of surprising that, and not really surprising, because we know in this place, they, on top of cemeteries and burial grounds, they build things right over, sacred places all the time. But this is a place that a lot of people feel is haunted. They feel that it's cursed and everything else as well too, and just the actual history behind how black people are actually done there is a big no. A lot of people want to have nothing whatsoever to do with Lake Lanier. Let me go ahead and kick it to Quadir and kick it to Aunt Lai and DJ and anybody else that wants to speak. James, I see you up here. If you want to speak, go ahead and put your hand up, and I'll get to you as well too, James. I see you up here in the speakers section as well too. So if you want to speak, matter of fact, let me get to I'll get to Quadir, Aunt Lai, and James, and then we'll go ahead and kick it to the rest. So go ahead, Quadir.
Yeah, just real quick. Well, I wanted to ask a question. Ms. Kelly doesn't have to answer it now. Maybe in the back channel, because I don't want to go back to the previous topic. I want to keep the conversation going. But Ms. Kelly Love, have you dealt with children in the school systems that's never been inoculated? That's my question for that. As far as the Lake Lanier situation, I think the whole thing is very disrespectful. I mean, you already flooded a whole town. You already flooded a whole thriving town. Black Americans doing their thing there, and for you to try to add insult to injury and make a border park on top of it is very it's very disrespectful. I think it's disgusting. Me personally, and I wouldn't go anywhere near there just off of that alone. And I yield.
Thank you, Quadir. And I don't blame you on that as well too. Like I said, and then not only that, but like I say, the way that they did, like you say, they flooded the black people out. Black men lost their lives again for being accused of something. And now, and not only that, but from 1994 to 2010, I believe over 210 people have drowned, at that lake as well too. So I really don't know what the hell they're talking about. Like, out of all the places Georgia got, you can't go ahead and put a water park someplace else. I mean, this really doesn't make much sense right here. Let me go ahead and get to Aunt Lai. Aunt Lai, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Respect, power, and location. I'm gonna try to be short and sweet, which I know I'm on with it. But I do want to say, in regards to that dude and his comments, he says stuff because he wants to get a reaction out of it. At the end of the day, he is ignorant, and he just got another lawsuit about covering up the sexual assault. So I'm not surprised at anything he says. I agree with everything that he said wholeheartedly. I want him to get as much success for everything that he put out in the universe, because he is who he is.
Who are you talking about?
Trump.
Oh, okay. I'm like, okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, just, because he wants the attention. And when he say outlandish and do outlandish stuff, it's just like, he's like, literally, he would have been better off in a napkin somewhere. But his father messed up. But in regards to the young man who lost his life at the hands of the police, it's sad. I absolutely, it breaks my heart. It hurts my heart that, a person dealing with mental health issues lost their life by the hands of the state, continual sanctioning unaliving of Black American citizens. And the fact that it is legal and nothing's being done about it, and it's continuing to happen, but we see immigrants giving them the best, beating them up in New York, doing all kinds of things, but nothing's being done to them. We know that there are other ways that they can handle us, but we know that they don't handle us that way for a particular reason. And, shameless plug, but that's the reason why I wrote my book, about how they really see us in the criminal justice system, and their actions continue to show that the police are not there to serve and protect us. The police are there to make us slave and unalive us. This unfortunate situation is sad. It's honestly ridiculous. And at the end of the day, it's like, what can I'm a solution-based person. What can you do to solve the problem? And it's ridiculous. And I really feel like I just keep praying for the spirit of Nat Turner to rise up. In regards to Lake Lanier, I'm a firm believer in survival of the fittest. And when you're at a time where you're in war, and you have people willing to do themselves for you, let them. We should not be arguing with people who are choosing to not be here anymore. That's better for us. That's more D for us. Let them do whatever it is they want to do, because we see what keep happening to them. At the end of the day, back in the day, how black people used to tell their kids, and then, there's certain things you can't do. Don't go over there. Stay away from. And all black people need to heed to that and stay away from there. And black people shouldn't have been there in the first place, because we already know what it is. So if you had the proper training where you had your parents to have common sense not to even be there, but if they choose to not want to be here no more, let them enjoy. Like, I want them all to go. As a matter of fact, I'm trying to see if we can collect some money. We can pay for them to go to vacation. Maybe some one-way tickets. Because if that's what they choose to do for themselves, they ain't doing it. Ain't hurting us. But they decided that they don't want to be here no more. They decided that they wanted to get into the boat, and with the little remote control, with the little, and they want to go in their creature. They're decided it's like natural selection. They're decided they don't want to be among living anymore. More power to you. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna argue with you about your decisions, but we got to start understanding that helps us. When we see our enemy taking themselves out, that's a win for us. I don't look at that like a negative. I look at that as, look, the ancestors going to do what the ancestors going to do, and natural selection is going to happen. So we just going to get the popcorn, watch the news, because we already know what it is. Because it's been happening. You just said 200. It's been happening since the beginning of time. Go ahead, more y'all go out there. And just understand that that's a win for us, because that's less of them that we got to deal with. And I'm going to dock my boat and land my plane.
All right. Thank you, Aunt Lai. Let me give a shout out to Cognitive too for his contribution on Cash App. For those that can support us on Cash App, $Newstoter. $Newstoter. Newstoter is the largest Black-owned, Black American news media curation platform today in America. Once again, $Newstoter. For those that do not have Cash App, the Venmo and PayPal is up in the Jumbotron. Same for my people on YouTube. $Newstoter, $Newstoter, and the PayPal and Venmo is in the description. Also, guys, we do have the membership to the site. We do have the membership. That's also on the screen on YouTube, guys. You can go to the newstoter.com customer panel and go ahead and create you a account and get you, for as low as $1.75, you can become a contributor to the newstoter.com platform for as low as $1.75 a month. You can't get much cheaper than that, guys. And for those over here on X as well, too, guys, up in the Jumbotron, we have the Newstoter membership link. Please go ahead and think about creating a quick profile. It takes less than a minute to go ahead and create one, and then you can go ahead and choose $1.75 all the way up to $10 if you want to contribute monthly to the actual platform. So definitely we need that support. We need that help. Thank you, Thias. Thank you for your contribution on Cash App. We need to go ahead and try to build up that membership base as well, too, guys. That's why we're drumming it home. So if you have not already created a profile on Newstoter, the membership, it is you do have to pay at least $1.75 a month. We're not going to go above that. We're trying to make it as affordable for our people as possible, but we do need that support. So Live, I know you a big time supporter of the platform. You get a chance, sweetie, go ahead and create you a profile. My man Original created a profile the other day as well, too. So definitely for those that can create your profile, I'm telling you, it won't take you no more. All you got to do is put in a name, an email address, and create your password, and bam, like that. And like I say, for $1.75, you can support Black media, guys. You can support Black media. Let me get to James. James, how you doing tonight?
B1, brother. B1 to everyone listening.
Thank you.
And I'm from Georgia, born and raised. I'm a true foundation Black American native to this land. And one question I do have as far as Ryan Gaynor, does anyone know the ethnicity of the officers who shot him?
From what it looks like, I don't know. I'm not sure if it was a white dude that shot him. I'm not sure exactly. Does anybody know? Because I'm not entirely sure.
I mean, that's neither here nor there because, as far as I'm concerned, these officers are trained. I've seen officers get in full blown shootouts with guys in New York and did not harm the shooter. Brought him in, handcuffs, everything. So far as I'm concerned, they know what they're doing. They're interested in killing black men. So far as people in California, we know this. We know what Trump is. That bloodbath comment. I pray that these white folks kill each other. That has everything to do with them. We need to stay out of that. Let them eat each other alive. But far as black people in California, y'all gonna have to stand up. Y'all gonna have to go to these sheriff's departments and do exactly what the Black Panther Party did. Put fear in them. Because, that's what we can do. That's the underlying issue of it. We all know that these Ku Klux Klan and coons are wearing these cop uniforms pretending to be law-abiding citizens. We all know that's a full-blown lie. So far as this national election, who cares? But during these primaries, your local elections, get involved. Vet these people that you're voting for and understand, or even if you don't have no one, find someone that's upstanding, or a young man or a young lady that's looking to make real change for us as black people, first and foremost. Build them up, fund them, and put them in power. That's what we can do to combat all these police killings, because it won't stop until we do that, period. Or we could get into some gangster shit, excuse my language. But that's always the last resort. But, I mean, we see this time after time, and I'm sorry that I'm so blunt, but I'm sick of it, man. This is a child with mental illness. There's no excuses. It's like we can't let them get away with this. We can't let them get away with this. And my black people in Cali, y'all gonna have to step up. It's gonna need to be another George Floyd type of incident for us to get some real change. Because this is, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. And I don't want to get too deep off in that because I'm just getting angry more and more I talk about it. Another young man gone. These officers has adequate training. They know how to pull out that taser to de-escalate a situation. This is a child. You mean to tell me you're a grown man and you can't stop a child with a garden tool? Really? What type of training is it's a young black man they had an opportunity to kill. And that's all they're trying to do. Wipe us out of existence and try to replace us with these immigrants. But yeah. But as far as this Oscarville, I remember, I was born in '84. I can remember at one point in time, like in the '70s, Georgia was damn near black owned. All of Georgia. I can remember that clear as day. Even in the last remnants of black ownership, all in Georgia, I remember fading away was in the late '80s, early '90s. When I grew up. I'm sorry to say it, they just were selling to the highest bidder instead of putting on to the kids and teaching them. So, I mean, yeah, like the sister said, yeah, let the ancestors do what they're going to do. Because Georgia's always been a thriving black nation. Thriving black state, even though it was made a jail state for slaves. That just goes to show the testament of how strong foundation of black Americans. And that's all the ancestors are fed up. That's what's going on in Oscarville. And that's a spiritual war that these white folks are going to lose. Let them build Margaritaville up all they want. I guarantee that slide is going to collapse. Hey, and anyone fool enough to think that they're going to go up there and have a good, knowing the history of it, when the mainstream media is making a big deal of it, and people still choose to go there, it's blatant disrespect to my people, to my land. And it's important that we get in these elections, people. Vote for the right people, vet these people. If you don't know nobody in office as of now that has our interests as heart as Foundation Black Americans, get them out of there, and you find someone in the community who's with it. And I land my plane.
All right, appreciate that. Thank you. Let's go ahead and get to Original, and then we're gonna get to Cali. Go ahead, Original. You got it.
Yeah, I had the same thought that James had about that water slide collapsing up there at Lake Lanier. Now I've never been to Lake Lanier, and now that I'm aware of what happened there, I don't have any desire to go there. But you do see some black people, they will go there, and it's like, and I know quite a number of them know what happened there now. But I want to share this with you all as regarding Lake Lanier up there in that area. It's Forsyth County. A relative of mine, he and I was talking, and he shared with me. You all remember when back in the '90s you had Hosea Williams and Mrs. King? They was doing a march up there, saying that they wanted to integrate the place and blah 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 blah. Well, see, this is exactly why, people. It is very important that we get the reins on our reparations. Now, what happened was, because my relative was telling me that some of the people still had, like, deeds and things showing where their family owned this property. And they was going to do compensation to the people. And then Hosea Williams said, well, we don't need that. We'll just take an apology. I'm like, really? And see, this is why, these groups, these anti-black agents like NARC and COBRA, Ron Daniels, Institute of the Black World, NAACP et al. This is why they are taking issue with us that are pushing so vehemently for lineage-based reparation, because they know that if other groups of black folks are included, then it would not go through. But yeah, that was one time where these people were about to get, some reparations, and Hosea Williams told them that they didn't need it. So an apology would be just fine. So we ain't trying to take something from y'all, hell, they work for you, And so that's what some of these people do. They get up here and this is why I do not follow folks, because if I say something, because I think for myself, and but I just want to say that as far as well, let's see. Oh, I thought you had. Oh, you mentioned Donald Trump. Okay, but anyway, Donald Trump, I think he's just an attention gatherer, and I think he knew that if he said whatever, that the news would pick it up, and I think he did that to get more TV time. So let's not forget the left wing media gave him so much attention. We really didn't have to buy any airtime. So they're still doing the same thing. Anytime you say something, they'll talk about it. It's like if you just watch all these cable channels, from whatever time he said it all day long, they talk about it, and sometimes for 2 or 3 days. So they're giving him the airtime that he don't have to pay for, and he's getting his message out. And I think they know what they're doing. But like I tell people at the beginning and ending of each day, this has more to do with the oppression, suppression, and depression of the Black American people, Negro, SBA, however you want to categorize yourself. this has to do with us being put under the thumb. So I just want to say that. But yeah, but the main thing is black people in Georgia, the descendants of those people that was run off their land and some of them murdered, they could have got something. But Hosea Williams said all they needed was an apology. And I'll land with that.
All right. Thank you. Original. Let me go ahead and get to Callie. Callie, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Okay, thank you. I'll start first with the first inoculation question. The only people who technically know whether or not a child had all their immunizations before they enter school is the enrollment clerk, because that's who you turn the paperwork in. So every time you enroll your child into a school, they need the immunization records. So I have records of all three of my children shot records. Have I elected not to get some shots? Yes, I have. As the parent, I can do that. The inoculations that I did choose to get were the measles, mumps, polio, rubella, and then the measles. Did I say measles? And TB, because I know that those are still contagious diseases that are still being spreaded today. TB breakouts all the time, especially when we were in Georgia and in California. Everything is subject to happen. But do a classroom teacher know whether or not a child has a waiver for those inoculations? No, the enrollment clerk does, because they're the one who collect all the paperwork. So I hope that answers your question. As far as, I don't know what the other young man, James, is talking about what black folks in California need to do, we doing enough. So don't add nothing else to our plate. HR 40 was the dead bill when it arrived. And matter of fact, it ain't even arrived nowhere because they haven't even issued out anything. They ain't had no discussion on HR 40 since who knows when. So when those black folks in California decided to do that research and present AB 3121, although it was just a task force, it did start a wheel moving and that motion moving again for the conversation for reparations for not just black folks in California, but black folks around the United States of America. So what everybody else should do, since you want to put responsibilities on us, is follow suit. Do your research. See, they did an extensive amount of research. They didn't just present a bill, they did an extensive amount of research. And one of the presidents of CJAC read for a whole year, I think it was 2021 and 2022, on this app on Twitter every Monday. He read each chapter of that research for AB 3121. So I'm sorry if you missed that, but you can probably hit CJAC up, Chris, I think his last name Williams or whatever, and you can hit him up, and you can go on the website, California legislator website, and you type in AB 3121, and you can get everything that you need. They have YouTube videos with Camilla Moore and all the other folks who was on that task force for the whole 2 years. So you can just catch up and keep up. But you can't put responsibilities on us and tell us what we need to do. Everybody in the United States, every black person in the United States of America, if that's the case, need to do something too. Don't just put that on us. Hey, we got this wheel going and back in motion. And another one of the individuals who was also on one of the steering committees for the reparations, not the task force, but for NASD, and who also was part of that research for AB 3121, is on this app. So we doing what we need to do. A lot of the protests that goes on in the streets, we kicks them off. in other states follows. So I don't come up here and bash other states and tell other black people around the United States of America what they may need to do and how it needs to be done. We understand that collectively it's a task, it's work. This is not easy work. When you either a volunteer or you a part of an organization, a grassroots organization, that work and this work is not easy at all, because you don't have 3,000 people that support you. Most of the time, you don't even have the funding. Most of the time, that funding comes from out of the pocket of those 25 members that always are out there pushing and pushing and pushing. So if anything, what you have to say is, if y'all need support, let us know where we can support at. Let us know what we can do for those of us who want to put on tennis shoes and a pair of jeans and some t-shirts and maybe some gloves just in case you got to whip somebody ass. Excuse me, gotta, throw some hands. And if you got bail money, because sometimes you may be subject to go to jail. See, that's support. But throw responsibilities and blame around, we not into that. We about moving our people forward. We do a lot of grassroots works in LA, a lot of, and a lot of people don't get recognized, and they're not looking for recognition. But at the same time, it's always, y'all black folks in California, y'all need to stand up. Y'all need to do this. Y'all need to do that. We doing our part. Make sure you do yours. And I'm a land.
All right. Thank you. Let me go ahead and get it to DJ. Go ahead. I know you had your hand up. Okay.
Folks can speak if other folks want to speak. Though. It's okay.
Now we ain't gonna keep it open too much longer. So James, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Miss Love, I mean no disrespect, sis. None whatsoever. As far as me saying black folks in California need to stand up, I understand. I'm well versed on what's going on with the reparations task force. But what I was trying to point to was about more so getting, taking charge of getting these officers charged for homicide. That's more so what I'm saying. So what can I do to further assist in getting these officers punished? I mean no disrespect. I understand that you guys have a lot on your plate. I definitely understand. I'm not dumb to what's going on and what you guys are doing. I'm black grassroots. I'm doing my part here in Georgia. I understand. It's only 10 of us at that reparations meeting out here in this task force here in Georgia. We're trying to get these people out, the Ant Cobras. I get it, sister. And I meant no disrespect, none whatsoever. It's just the frustration. I'm sorry if I came off so wrong.
Oh, no worries, because trust me, I understand. I've been doing this for quite some time. When they blow up, abortion clinics. I mean, literally blowing them up. I was like, woo, there's black women in those clinics too. So when we had D.A. Lacey, who didn't, and she was a black woman, she, I guess, refused to prosecute any officers in LA County who committed homicide, especially on black males. So got tired of fussing with her. So you had a political action committee who, we went out and hit the streets, did a lot of canvassing, and then you still have Black Lives Matter LA, which is actually a grassroots organization. See, they was brave. They went up to D.A. Lacey's house, and they at 5:30 in the morning, they did that consistently for about a whole year. Just knock on that woman's door, be camped out in front of her house. The last time they knocked on her door, her husband came out, answered the door with a 45. But her husband was charged, but he didn't do no jail time. He only got probation. But nevertheless, we got her up out of office. so she's not, the DA anymore of LA County. But they just moved her to a different position. So I believe when I checked, I believe she's in management somewhere like that. But she just moved, but she's not over the police force anymore or LA County sheriffs. Now, we tired of the police killing us in the streets? Yeah. We had this conversation a couple of hours earlier in the farmer space about the immigrants in Chicago who the judge gave them or dropped the charges, saying that illegal immigrants can carry guns. So I guess the young man, whoever he was, didn't get charged with a gun. They say he was driving dirty, no driver's license, no registration, no tag, no nothing, and then had a gun. So we see how the police is treating us. Sometimes we don't even have weapons, and they still shooting and killing us. Like you say.
Hey, Callie. Hey, sweetie. Let me get to Aunt Lai and Brother Moku real quick. Because I see Brother Moku up here as well too. Let me get to them real quick because we gonna be closing this out probably in the next 10 minutes or so, and I'm gonna get back to you. Brother Moku, if you want to speak, raise your hand. I'm not sure. I know you came up here, but I'm not sure if you want to speak. But Aunt Lai, go ahead and unmute your mic. We're gonna be closing it out in a little bit, guys.
Peace, black power, and reparations. What I wanted to say in regards to a solution is a lot of times we go after the police and we thinking by going after the police, demanding police reform, or going after the DAs, that is the solution to the problem. The reason why that is not a solution, because the police and the DA are licensed by the judiciary. The judiciary is the branch of government that black people need to start attacking, figuratively and literally, when it comes to laws being enforced against us, but not everybody. Like, for example, if you go to court, we all supposed to be treated the same. If I'm driving with no driver's license, I'm supposed to be charged. If you drive that is a court issue. And what it brought to my attention after me being a probation officer for 9 years and me suing them for discrimination and being illegally fired and incarcerating my nephew and going through that, it was the fact that the judicial branch of government is literally designed to target black people only, specifically, intentionally. That is the purpose of the judicial branch of government. That's why we get the sentences we get. That's why we get treated, how we get treated, and we have to go after them. Going after the prosecutors, quote unquote, it can make, like, they got her out of office, which was good, but she's still working there. She's just not in that position. But going after the judicial branch of government, going after these judges, to my understanding, in certain places are elected. In addition to the judges being elected in the state of New Jersey, they're appointed. So these judges are appointed by the party that's in charge for that state. So what we have to do, solution to the problem, to really address the unequal treatment of black people by law enforcement, by the prosecutors, is going after that branch of government, and that is going to solve that problem. I'll dock my vote and fold my chair and land my plane.
All right, thank you, Aunt Lai. Let me go ahead and get to Brother Moku. Brother Moku, how you doing tonight?
What's going on, family? I just wanted to shout out everybody in the room. Our co-host, Reginald, Tyler. Shout out to the Redemption Party. You know what I'm saying? Miss Nichols. Thank you for waking up this situation about Lake Lanier. Condolences to the Garner family. We definitely, I'm glad to see that we are not getting the white supremacists in the room. Shout out to the Redemption Party again. Y'all wanna support a party that's looking to give jail time to the white supremacists. I mean, that's your party right there. And I think that's all I gotta say. You got something you wanna say, man? Yeah, so thank you, Tyler, for waking up this situation about Lake Lanier and the atrocities that was done to our ancestors there. And what's still going on, waking up that whole situation. I still really think we should pay
close attention to Atlanta's water supply and, really open that up. Is this water being filtered? Not even if it's just being filtered. This is just a whole, disaster show of a situation here, and we are definitely in the need of repair. So I'll land there. Thanks for letting me speak, Todd.
No problem. No problem. Callie, you want to go ahead? I'll let you go ahead and get a minute or so in there, and then we're gonna go ahead and get the DJ, and we're gonna close it out for the night.
Oh, okay. I appreciate it. Thank you. Okay. I hear you, but in the process of getting DA Lacey out, yes, because she's a county worker, she had a right to still be employed. But the new DA, he's up for re-election. Now, his opponents, they're not really too happy about his policies because some of the enhancement charges that he no longer implements. He started prosecuting some LA County sheriffs and LAPD officers. So they're not too happy about that. They're not really happy about a lot of his policies that he started to implement and changes that he started to implement within LA County. So I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, some things take a little longer and they're not as easy as said and done. So it's a process. The juvenile halls, those that were committing some crimes like rape against some of our young boys and young females, having them beat up, jumped on, and all kind of atrocities, they're shutting those things down. So there have been some things done, some strategies that were used in order to make effort to combat it. Now, the other thing really is the hiring practices. See, at one time, you had to have a bachelor's degree in order to become either an LA County sheriff or even an LAPD officer, or really any officer in the state of California. You have to have a bachelor's. Now I believe they relaxed that. And then you have to go through an extensive amount of training. So again, but it's the hiring practices. So if we already know that throughout history, there's been racist and they have racist practices since the beginning. We kind of understand that. At the same time, I do this as a parent and a community activist. I say, look, you got to stay out of trouble as much as you can. Stay out of them folks' way. Don't give them no excuse to get trigger happy. Because LAPD on any given day is trigger happy. They waiting for, as we say in LA, to get active. They waiting on us to get active. So they go around and start this whole shooting spree. I done watched them out of my living room window numerous occasions. Just trigger happy, hand on the gun. They don't care. Same officers. You see them all the time, everywhere. Same ones in the South LA district. Just ready. Hiring practices are important. So, more than likely, if this DA remains in office, he has spoken about those hiring practices to make sure that his officers get the proper training once they are hired. When an officer goes out and they have to deal with a mental patient or a suspect with a mental issue, they do send out like a social worker. They do send out some, because I didn't watch it and I seen. They send out someone who intervenes. Take them hours. I didn't watch 4, 5, 6 hours because I lived in one of them communities where the police just always was at. And they bring them out. But see, now we had a situations where they have little robot dogs. So now we had a little robot dogs. They go out through the city and they diffuse situations, so they say. So we don't know what's coming down the pipeline really anymore until city council start voting and telling us what's about to happen when it comes to the police force. So it's work. It's a lot of work, and it takes a lot of work. California prison system, ain't no telling they get shut down, locked down all the time because they have riots consistently. So we have a lot of work to do. And it's not easy work, and it's difficult.
Callie, let me get you to land that plane, sweetie.
Okay, I'm sorry. You know I'm long with you. Okay, but we appreciate it. I'm just going ahead and land. It's just a lot of work. It's a lot of work. You got to just keep at it. Can't give up.
All right. Thank you, sweetie. Ray, I see you just came up here, so I'm going to give you about 2 minutes because we're getting ready to close it out for the night. But go ahead, Ray.
You know, I don't need no 2 minutes. I'm going to be really, really brief. I put in the comment section a article, well, actually 2 articles I found if you want to look at them. One with Barack Obama using Bloodbath when he was referring to the UN if it breaks up. And also Biden when he was talking about the primary with he had against Bernie Sanders, saying it'll be a bloodbath if Sanders' sharpest attack ahead of 2 contestants. So I don't know why all of a sudden they want to get outraged about the word bloodbath when obviously they've been using this term themselves. Black people, we know that, we know that the election is coming up soon. Let's not let them get us in our emotions with the smallest thing, because I've noticed a lot of people would just take, I think we all know this, they'll take a quick soundbite, they'll post it just to get us outraged, just to get us out to vote in November, when in reality they're not going to give us anything. And the whole time Trump was talking about the auto industry. I'll land there, Newstoter. Thank you.
All right. Appreciate that, Ray. DJ, go ahead, and we're going to get ready to close it out for the night.
No, you can go ahead and close it. It's over with. Everybody said everything.
Okay. Well, peace, and appreciate everybody coming through tonight. Thank you, Original, Brother Moku, Callie, Ray, Cognitive, everybody, for those that spoke and for those that did support us on Cash App as well, too, guys. Like I said, we need help with that membership. Cognitive, I know you be supporting. Callie, all you guys that have not got a membership yet, go ahead, like Original, Brother Moku, Miss Nichols, go ahead, Just Cakes, and go ahead and create that membership. To Newstoter, the link is up there. I know y'all see me tweet it out, retweet it out as well too, and we need that. We need those. We need to get as many members as possible on the site as well too, guys. So definitely support Black media, support Black-owned business, support Black content, and we will see you guys. If not tomorrow, then probably Thursday, guys. So peace. Have a good one, and thank everybody for coming out tonight. Thank all my people on YouTube as well. So peace, everybody. Be safe.
Peace.